Hi everyone, long time no talk. I'm recording this video for the second time because I just realized that I sat here for about a full 5 minutes talking, showing you guys a piece of paper with my address on it. So, I had to start over. I'm sorry that I've been away for so long. I'm going to try to speak very slowly. Many people, and by many I mean like more than a few, have asked me if I'm alright, if I'm doing okay. There were some people on YouTube who I was getting friendly with a couple months ago, and we were messaging for a while, and I kind of just disappeared. Well, not to worry, I'm fine. I'm sure you guys have watched many videos like this explaining life type stuff that people deal with that keeps them from making videos. So, in my case, there's a very good reason, and I'll get into that in a minute, but the last time I made a video, which I don't remember when it was, I was going to get back on top of taking care of some very overdue requests that I've been getting. And once again, I feel like I'm always saying this, I'm so sorry if you've requested something then that I didn't make it. A lot of times where I've lived before, or where I was living, I just could never find a time that seemed to be good to make a video, or if I did find time, it was very rushed because either my roommates were coming back, or I was just really tired, or I work long hours, so that should hopefully change now. So for maybe the last 9 or 10 years, I have always had roommates, or in some cases I lived different places by myself, but I always lived somewhere that there was very loud neighbors, either upstairs or next to me. You guys, if you've stuck around this long, you know that I live somewhere with a woman, and I think a man at some point upstairs, who constantly were doing what sounded like rolling bowling balls across the floor. I mean, there's a really funny, like a video. I'm not sure if it's a video actually or an article with pictures or something, but of this couple recreating everything you could imagine is being done above you. So like if you live in an apartment or somewhere where it's really loud, and you always are imagining the things that your neighbors are doing, because it makes no sense sometimes, the things you think you hear. Well, this article or video, whatever it is, perfectly explains. It's really hilarious, but they depict what possible things could be going on upstairs, and it's really funny. So I'm not sure what it's called, but if you Google, I don't know, something like "what are your upstairs neighbors doing" or something like that, you can probably find it. So I had some of those for a while. Then after that, I was living with more roommates again. I lived with my boyfriend and our friend for quite a while, and we had a nice house. It was pretty spacious between the three of us. But we also had a business which we ran out of the house, and we were renting. So a big problem where I live is that it's very high rent to rent around here, and over time that really adds up because you could be investing your money into something else like a house that you own or have a mortgage on, make payments on, and the cost of renting here is just outrageous. So we all kind of knew when our lease was up, we were gonna probably, like, our one roommate would move in with his girlfriend, and my boyfriend and I were gonna move in somewhere together. And we've talked a lot before about buying a house, and for the reasons I just mentioned, I know he's wanted to for a while, just because financially, I mean, I don't claim to be rich or have a lot of money, but it makes more sense to put a down payment on a house and then have equity in something. I don't know. I don't want to bore you guys with all of the details of it, but basically, it's really expensive to rent where I live. So, we found out a few months ago that the people who owned our house wanted to sell it, as many people do, everywhere I've lived and everywhere my roommates and a lot of my friends have lived around here. They end up having to leave because people are selling their houses. Maybe that's a problem where you guys live too. I don't know. So, it's very inconvenient, as you can imagine, since we were working out of our house. They had originally told us when we rented the house, we wanted to make sure, because of past experiences, that we wouldn't be asked to leave before our lease was up, because that has happened before. We've always been great tenants and are clean and all that, but you can terminate the lease if the homeowners feel they're going to move back or they're going to list it for sale or whatever, or at least in our contract, I think it was on there. So that was pretty stressful when we found that out, because I think we had something like 3 months, 3 and some odd months to before we were moving. So rather than terminate our lease, they gave us a letter, a notice that they were going to be listing their house for sale, and they were going to sell it once our lease was up, so we wouldn't have the option to stay there, which we'd been living there for a few years. So we were all planning anyways that we were probably going to go do something else. But this kind of just was the catalyst for us to decide, my boyfriend and I, that we really thought it made sense to buy a house. Neither of us are the type of people that feel it's necessarily important to be married before you do certain things in your life. Buying a house, for example, you don't need, in my opinion, to be married, and it pretty much made absolutely no difference. It honestly seemed helpful in this case that we weren't married. So, anyway, we found out a few months before our lease was going to be up, and buying a house, they say, and having kids, I guess, or having kids and moving are very stressful to deal with. And fortunately, I did not have any children, or I don't have any children. So I didn't have to factor that in when moving, but it was pretty stressful. In addition to all the normal work that we do, we also do lots of volunteer type stuff, and there's some groups that we're part of. There are, I don't want to go too much into what we do, because it's a little, not sure I want to talk about that, but in our main business, we had a lot of things going on in the months that were going to be leading up to us having to move, and also right around the time that we were going to have to be out. So we were in a hurry to find some place to live, which is not a great feeling to have when you're buying your first house. But the good news is we worked with excellent people who we know, and I saw lots and lots of houses. We went through the process a couple times of finding a house, making an offer, yada yada yada. So the whole thing is very stressful. I won't bore you with the details, but in the end, like in the trying to think how much time they say that it takes something like 45 days or maybe a little less to close on a house, and or at least where I live, and we'd already been through a very negative, stressful process with the house that we wanted before. We'd spent a lot of time and a lot of money dealing with the house and the things that you have to take care of before you buy the house, and things between us and the current homeowners, and it was just a bad situation. So I was glad to get out of that. We found the house we wanted, but with just enough time left that I think we had something like 31 days until we had to be moved out of the house that we were living in. So we found the house, like I said, and up until like the day before we were supposed to be moved, we finally closed on the house. We moved all of our stuff, and then we spent a few days cleaning up and getting everything finished up at the other house. So that is really where I've been for a few months. I'm sure if you've ever bought a house, you know what a big process it can be, and especially in my case, I know my boyfriend and I couldn't both always go and look at the houses because one of us had to be working. Like, we couldn't just both stop working and not making money. So I was pretty much going almost every day to look at houses for several weeks and I guess months. So it ended well. It's a good story. And then like I said, we had some other events going on that we're in charge of. I was organizing a big event for right after we moved. So in the course of like a week, we moved out of our old house. We bought a new house, and then I think we had 2 or 3 days to get as much as we could unpacked and get the house ready, because my boyfriend's entire family, so let me think, his stepdad, his mom, his 2 sisters, and then one of his sister's friends came to our house a couple days after we moved, and they all stayed here for about a week. His mom has a job where she's required to, if she's going to take time off, like for a trip or vacation, she has to ask something like 6 months in advance. So we already knew last year that she had planned to come visit us at that time, and it's not her fault because we obviously had expected she was going to come visit at the house we were living at before, and since that had changed, we have a little extra pressure to get moved in time. So it worked out. My mom came to visit with me, and she helped me unpack and buy a few things, like not even like decorative things like shower curtains and bath mats and towels and things for when my boyfriend's family got here. And it worked out. We had fun. And then they were here for a week, and after that we had the big event I had planned. I'm trying to think what else happened. There's something else big that happened right now. But anyways, you get the idea. I've been pretty wrapped up in myself. So I just want to let you guys know that's what's been going on. Hopefully now that I have my own house, things will be a lot quieter. It'll be easier to film when I want, because now I just have to worry about my boyfriend. But there's room in this house now that I can go somewhere that's pretty quiet whenever I want to film. So I can breathe a sigh of relief. I also wanted to tell you, I watch ASMR videos just almost constantly. During the day at work, I have my headphones on and I'm listening while I'm working, and I've really, really, really been loving, I think the way you say her name is Southern Sounds ASMR, or it might be Southern ASMR Sounds, but you'll find her, and she is great. She has such good role plays, such good creative stuff. I think someone's here at my house, so if I have to cut this off, I'm sorry. And I've really been enjoying that. So if you haven't heard of her, check her out. I think actually, yep, there's someone coming to my door right now, so I better go. But hope you guys are doing well. I'll talk to you soon.